It was nice. That's it.
a ringing endorsement. It was nice.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Off to Broadway, the podcast where we deep dive into anything and everything musical theater from the comfort of my car. I'm Tara.
I'm Stefania.
And in today's episode, we're back with another Way Back When episode, and this time we're talking about 2013. Now, we didn't originally settle on this year, but then we realized that the year that we wanted to do, we needed to listen to way more cast recordings, and then I feel like maybe inspired by Anne Juliet and Stark Sands, we were like, what about 2013?
You're right, because 2013, well, we originally settled on 2011, and we might still do 2011.
We'll do it eventually. We just need more time to listen to.
Exactly. Whereas looking at 2013, all four of these musicals, well, maybe with one exception, we knew pretty well. So I feel like we listened to all of them again, or I did.
Yeah.
And we rewatched the Tony Awards from 2013, but we have like takes on each of these musicals.
Yeah. We won't say that the entirety of the 2013 Tony Awards is on YouTube. We won't say that, but I just feel like similar to 2009, which was the first time we did a Way Back When, we like chose that year based on that opening number and then like went from there.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with Bigger and Neil Patrick Harris and Lin-Manuel Miranda and Tom Kidd wrote it too, right? I feel like they both did it. I think I read this.
I
think
idea.
In 2013 that they both wrote the opening number. And I said to you, I think we need to have Neil Patrick Harris host a Tony Awards again because he's great.
This was the last time he did it, unless I'm wrong, because I think then James Corden started doing it,
right,
a bunch,
right.
Yeah, because Neil Patrick Harris was on How I Met Your Mother, which was on CBS at the time, and that has ended since. And then James Corden got the Late Late Show, so he started doing it also on CBS.
Right.
So it's kind of like synergy. But now that James Corden's leaving the Late Late Show,
we're open up again.
I mean, he didn't do it the past couple of years, but who's kind of the next go-to host? I would like to know.
Who is like the new king of CBS is the real question.
Yes, who's going to replace James Corden, but then also have a tie to the theater, because that's the other thing, because both Neil and James are theater people.
So before we get into the Tonys, you had some questions for me, I believe.
Okay, so the year is 2013, right? And so we're focusing on one award show, but there are other award shows that happen in the year.
Yeah.
So I would like to quiz you on what you think the Best Picture winner in the year 2013 was. So this is the 85th Annual Academy Awards. Mm-hmm. There were, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Best Picture nominees, including one musical that did not win. So I would like...
I think I know this because I was in school at the time, and I'm pretty sure I did a project in one of my like media courses on this movie, and I think it's Argo.
Wow. It is Argo. Correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Was it Les Mis that year? Was that the musical?
It was Les Mis that year.
Wow.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the 55th Annual Grammy Awards.
I love Argo, by the way. Like, I love Argo. And I've
never seen Argo.
Wow, you should watch it. I remember because, like, in journalism school, like, this was kind of an important movie for, like, a media course that I was doing. So I remember writing an essay about it, yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I do like Ben Affleck as a director because I like Gone Baby Gone, and I even like The Town. But I've never seen Argo. This
was a controversial year because he wasn't nominated.
Get nominated for Best Director. Yeah. I know. This was a year, and then it won Best Picture, and he got to do a speech, and then he's like, marriage is hard, and then they got divorced.
So he was right.
It was hard. It was too hard. Okay, so now we're going to the Grammy Awards. I don't know if you're going to get this one, but...
I can't even, like, think of a song that came out in 2013, and I don't know why.
Okay, I'm going to read you out the 5... Album of the Year nominations.
Okay.
And let me know
if I know any.
If you know. Okay, so El Camino, The Black Keys.
Okay, I know who the Black Keys are, but that's really it.
Some Nights, Fun.
Some Nights I Stay. Yep.
A band that has never made another album. Channel Orange by Frank Ocean.
No. I mean, I know Frank Ocean, but no.
Blunderbuss, Jack White.
No. Wow, what a year that.
What a list. Babel, Mumford and Sons.
Ooh, was it Mumford & Sons?
It was Mumford & Sons.
That just sounds right, but I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, out of nowhere, I don't think I would have guessed that. I don't think I would remember that they won Album of the Year.
No.
As much as I love Mumford & Sons.
And we haven't really heard their names in a long time.
Yeah, they kind of like go in and out of making music. I don't know. And then people have like left the band.
Right.
But I think Babel is a great album. So I can't be mad about it. But I think it's interesting to think about like what else was winning.
Wow,
so
no women nominated that year.
No, never a woman. Never.
Didn't Taylor Swift have an album that came out in 2013?
No, but she did sing "We Are Never Getting Back Together."
Wow, I was gonna say that Tony Awards, that Grammy Awards. Was that the one when she used the British accent?
Yeah.
Wow. I remember that.
Record of the Year, We Are Never Getting Back Together was nominated, but I don't think Red was out in the eligibility period. So the single was out, but the whole album wasn't out. That's my presumption.
The British accent is vivid to me because I was invested in the Harry Taylor relationship.
Harry.
Yeah.
Album of the Year, Red was nominated in the 56 for the next year. So she didn't have an album out at the time. Well, so good to know. So then that brings us to our best musical nominees for the year 2013. So in no particular order, we've got Bring It On, the musical, music and lyrics written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Amanda Green, and Tom Kitt. Mm-hmm. Then we've got A Christmas Story, the musical, music and lyrics written by Pasek and Paul.
Yep.
Then we've got Matilda.
This was their first. No, it wasn't their first, but it was
very
their
Broadway
early
debut. This was their Broadway debut. They had Dogfight
in there
around the same time / earlier, but that never made it to Broadway. So this was their Broadway debut, which is kind of a funny one when you think about it.
Yeah.
Then we got Matilda, music and lyrics written by Tim Minchin. Mm-hmm. And finally, we've got Kinky Boots, music and lyrics by Cyndi Lauper.
So this is an interesting year. One, because we just discussed there are a lot of children in this year. Mm-hmm. And I would say overall, everything is like super different from each other. And I feel like the two frontrunners were Kinky Boots and Matilda kind of like facing off against each other. But we've talked about Kinky Boots like very briefly on this podcast because, you know, Vanessa Sears, past guest of the podcast, was Nicola in the Toronto production of Kinky Boots in 2015. But I don't think we've ever publicly said that was the first show that you and I ever went to together.
It's funny. So I have our playbill right here. The year was 2015. I think it was like fall 2015. We met in 2013.
There's a picture of us with the boots. You're wearing a hat. We have our feet up. I'll insert it here. It's a throwback.
It's really a throwback. The looks, everything about it is really a throwback. Do they do that at the Royal Alex anymore, where they put like a tree or a boot or whatever?
Not like that. That one was big. And everyone, it was a photo op. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually do have two playbills here, or they're not playbills because we're in Toronto, but two programs. So two of these best musical nominees, we actually were lucky enough to have Canadian productions of play here in Toronto. So not tours, but sit down, long running Canadian cast, Canadian productions. So Kinky Boots is one of them, and Matilda is the other one. And we saw both of these together actually. Yes. So this was. We're lucky enough to have had these amazing casts and amazing productions of them here to be able to talk about. And then the other two, I wouldn't call them flops, but they don't necessarily have the like longevity.
No, I did see Bring It On at Mirvish on tour in 2012 or I guess 2013. It was all 2012. It was 1 month. It was in 2012.
It was a pre-Broadway tour.
Yeah. We'll save my thoughts on that for a second. But then the next one was A Christmas Story, which the only thing that I had like barely heard of this show, but I think it was 2017. There was like a live NBC Fox. I'm not sure who it was. Did like a live A Christmas Carol. I want to say like, was Matthew Broderick the older kid? I feel like he was.
I think you're right.
And it was Maya Rudolph, I want to say.
Was the mom.
I never saw it, and I will never see it.
No, yeah. I think we tried to watch it in my house, and then we got about 10 minutes in, and my dad was like, we out.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Do we want to start here with A Christmas Story?
Let's start with A Christmas Story. Let's go from, let's not say worst to best, but from least impactful to most impactful.
Yes.
Let's say that.
So, A Christmas Story, as you said, Pasek and Paul. I listened to this cast recording for the first time yesterday.
Yeah,
and what we said was that, to me, I was like, oh my God, there's a lot of Sondheim in here. Like, everything sounds like Sondheim. It was crazy to me.
It felt very referential to previous musicals in general. I was hearing, like, not even just Sondheim, I was hearing, like, Pippin. And this might have to do with the era that the musical takes place in the 80s. It's based on a movie from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So they were trying to, like, let's say, reference these 70s and 80s musicals. But we were texting each other, okay, this song sounds like this from Company, or this song sounds like this from Pippin, or this song sounds like this. Like, everything had a musical theater reference.
I think the one that you pointed out immediately was Sticky Situation sounded like Little Things We Do Together. And then as I kept listening the song just like that, I was like, oh, this is Move On from Sunday in the Park with George. And then also A Christmas Story has a bit of like Sunday from Sunday in the Park with George. So it was just like, I understand too that they're also kind of like stuck within the box of this needs to sound holiday-esque.
Yes.
While also kind of original, so it's already like a little bit difficult. The Tony performance that year was You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, and the tap dancing children were amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The song when I listened to the cast recording that I knew for some reason was Ralphie to the Rescue. Why did I know that?
I feel like I might have heard that song before too.
I was like,
but
Ralphie to the Rescue. I knew it. I don't know why.
Unless it sounds like something else and that's what you were just like placing it.
No,
you know?
I knew Ralphie to the Rescue. I like knew it. I just knew it.
Yeah. But A Christmas Story was nominated for Best Book. It was nominated for Best Original Score and
Best
Musical.
Musical.
Third one here, Best Musical. Yeah, that's it. So just those three. And yeah, like, I mean, actually, it would be fun if, like, a Shawfest put this on, or, you know, like,
instead of, like, a
Madison
classic
one,
something
Garden. New. You know, when MSG does, like,
Grinch
Elf?
or Elf, yeah.
Yeah, so they could do, like,
instead.
A Christmas Story, like, a limited, you know, holiday run. I feel like it's one of those things that, you know, if families are going to New York or wherever you live, go take your kids to go see A Christmas Story for Christmas. Like, that's just makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It has the name recognition. That's actually something in common that all four of these musicals have, and that are nominated for Best Musical. They're all based on movies, so all four of them have name recognition.
Right.
I'd say the least known movie is Kinky Boots, but still based on a movie.
Yeah, not a musical movie, but yes.
No, all of them are non-musical movies.
Yeah.
With some music, kind of, maybe, like, but all four are based on movies and have that kind of name recognition. Yeah, A Christmas Story, I have seen this movie. It's been a while, but I have seen this movie. And I think, you know, we've been kind of paying attention slightly to the development process of the Devil Wears Prada musical. Yeah. And been quite, I'm going to tie
concerned.
it, I promise. We've been quite concerned about the adaptation of that movie into a musical because those characters don't inherently sing. Like, I don't think I see, or other people maybe see, a reason for any of those characters to break out into song. Whereas A Christmas Story, I think those characters do kind of sing. I think adapting it into a musical does make sense. Was this the most successful musical? I think it is what it is. Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
There's nothing like offensive about it, but
No.
I'm not like excited by it in any way.
But I also don't think that they set out to be like, we're gonna win all of the Tony Awards. Like, it is what it is, and they knew that. They know the crowd. Totally.
A commercial prospect, because it's one of those things that only runs at Christmas time. You're not going to see A Christmas Story in July.
Yes.
It's going to run from like November to January, and then maybe it'll come back next year, but it's not.
That's the thing. In terms of like longevity, it actually does have a lot of longevity because it can come back year after year after year, just like, I don't know, Holiday Inn, and what was the other one we saw?
White Christmas. Have we seen White Christmas?
No, we didn't.
What was Christmas Carol?
A Christmas Carol, which I thought was the same thing. So it
No,
tells you how
it's
much
not
I know.
A Christmas Story. You know where this probably didn't recoup on Broadway, but you know where they're recouping their money? Licensing.
Oh, for sure.
Licensing.
Regionally, you can do it at every city near you.
They're breaking this in.
Yeah.
And licensing. Because you run it on Broadway for one season, it says, Broadway's A Christmas Story, the musical, and every other school is putting this on.
Yeah.
Every regional theater is putting this on.
And because it does have so many children, like, what a great show for kids to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it sounds, even though it's from 2013, it premiered on Broadway in 2012, it sounds classic. And that's probably why, you know, they didn't do this super modern music, why it sounds so referential to these older musicals, because it already sounds like a classic, even when it was brand new.
Yeah. So interesting that this was Pasek Paul's debut, because obviously right after that was Dear Evan Hansen, and like smash hit there with, well, I mean, not so much now, but like cast recording wise, still a hit. So, and now they've been working and have so much work until the end of time. So yeah, what an interesting Broadway debut for them. Moving on to, again, this is, I mean, from like least favorite to most favorite, but I think you would argue that this might be your most favorite. Bringing On the Musical.
Least impactful to the public to most impactful to the public. If we're talking about most impactful to me, it's this one. It's Bring It On the Musical. Of these, this is actually the most listened to cast recording of all four of these for me, because it's great.
Yeah.
And I think we can trace that back to one man and one man only, and that is Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
You hear him so clearly on this cast recording. Not his voice, thank God. But
no, I know.
You hear him.
I texted you yesterday being like, I think I had unnecessary hate towards Bring It On, and you responded with, you did, and it's because I literally have not picked up this cast recording to listen to. I mean, I've listened to it like here and there with like you in the car, like it comes on whenever you are in charge of the phone, but I wouldn't seek it out because I didn't like this production. And I think it's interesting to talk about, again, thinking of the movie. I do think this movie sings because
I agree.
There are many, I mean, like Cheer in general is very sing-songy, and it's easy to place that into a musical setting. So I do think it works.
This is also maybe one of the most interesting movie adaptations in that it's actually not a movie adaptation.
No.
It's in the world of Bring It On, but it's not an direct adaptation of that first movie.
Yes.
It almost feels like, you know, Bring It On 2 is just another movie about cheerleaders, and Bring It On 3 is another movie about cheerleaders. Like, the characters don't carry over. It's kind of just like Bring It On 7 on stage instead, you know?
Yeah. I just think it was like, the book is the main issue with this show, and also what
I don't know the book at all.
No.
Which is probably why I like it.
Yeah, and like the cast recording is great. The songs flow from like the next. It's really good. The cheer is really good on stage. But it's interesting when thinking about this show because my hate of projection started with Bring It On. And this was 10 years ago, basically. Wow. I like don't remember all of the projections that were used, but the vivid one to me was that Taylor Louderman was like texting and it was projection and it was just bad. And text messages make sense, but I don't think like we had the technology obviously then that we do now to make it look great. So it just looked really cheap. But yeah, this cast, we have like Taylor Louderman and Adrienne Warren right at the top there.
Ariana DeBose is in it.
Yeah, there are Ryan Redman. We love Ryan Redman.
Like so many people. Who's in it? Kate Rockwell. Kate Rockwell.
Yeah.
I would also like to shout out Jason Gauthier, who I never see you anymore, but I miss you. I want you to be in more theater.
I feel like he's doing something. He's doing a reading of something. I don't know what it is, but I saw his name pop up again recently.
Is he in Between the Lines?
He was in a version
right
of Between the Lines. I know. Between the Lines is really like a topic.
It's coming up. He was in the stage production of Freaky Friday, but didn't make it to the movie because he was a little old.
He was just in the most recent like Gossip Girl reboot, playing a very scandalous character.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, Jason Gauthier.
And then also you have Gregory Haney, who I believe is like the first trans character, La Cienega, which is pretty like revolutionary for Broadway, which is crazy that it took till 2013.
Well, I mean, we'll get to Kinky Boots in a second, but like, look what was going, like Kinky Boots and the drag queens and all of that. I feel like, I don't know, that show also, I feel like longevity. We'll get to Kinky Boots later, but it is true that it took that long. And also, I was reading something that this was like 32 Broadway debuts on this show. So
they say it in bigger. They sing the line in bigger.
So they were doing a lot of stuff, but I did read that Bring It On was a limited run, always on Broadway, which I think is interesting.
I think it was. I think their Broadway stop was a tour stop, literally.
Well, interesting, because West End had Bring It On in 2021, and it might still be running. And they released a new cast recording last year, so
they did.
Yes.
Do I need to listen?
I feel like you need to listen.
Wow, I didn't even know this. I can't believe world's #1 Bring It On stan, and I didn't even know.
Well, it's so interesting. I feel like the West End is kind of like delayed, because also currently Bonnie and Clyde is playing in London, and rumor has it that it's transferring to the West End, and that was also like a failed flop musical. So I don't know, maybe there's like a market for this in London.
I'm often very confused about what's going on the West End, and that's not their fault, it's mine. But yeah, I am often quite confused as to the runs and how it works.
Remember we were talking about last year, like the Amelie that was there that was really successful? Like, same thing. These like flops are like hits over there.
Yeah. I think maybe it has to do with like what constitutes a Broadway theater is so rigid, but in the West End, it's much more free-flowing what it counts as a theater for a West End show. And they have all these different sizes, and they're more into doing limited runs. Like not everything has to be a long running show, so they'll kind of be more experimental, and I kind of love that philosophy there. But I just don't know enough of what's going on in the West End, and now I need to listen to a new Bring It On cast recording. I was gonna say, we didn't even talk about our favorite songs from A Christmas Story, because we don't have any, but
I literally was just about to ask you what your favorite Bring It On song was, but then also had the same thought of
we actually don't have any Christmas Story songs.
One to shout out, other than, what was the one that you said, Ralphie's
Ralphie to the Rescue.
Ralphie to the Rescue. I will shout out the title song, A Christmas Story. It was nice. That's it.
a ringing endorsement. It was nice. I'm gonna look around.
Well, the one they did on the Tonys was cute.
Yeah, what was that?
You'll Shoot Your Eye Out?
Right. You'll Shoot Your Eye Out. Yeah. That was cute, I guess. Nothing stuck out. Sticky Situation. That was fun. I love Sticky Situation.
Well, A Sticky Situation and A Christmas Story are our two recommended.
Yeah,
from this
I really can't bring myself to have any passion.
Now tell us the 10 that you love from Bring It On.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, so we've talked about this. Lin-Manuel Miranda is the reason Bring It On is great. Tom Kitt and Amanda Green. Okay, so how I think it kind of worked when they were writing it is that there's two kind of rival schools, or we start off at one school and then we transfer to another school. So from what I understand is that the characters from the first school, like Campbell and what's her name, and Bridget, their music is written by Tom Kitt and Amanda Green. But then when they move over to the new school, the soundtrack to Jackson, this new school, is very much Lin-Manuel Miranda. And it makes these two schools sound really different. And I think it works so well to differentiate the kind of like mindsets and backgrounds of these characters.
Can I just say, having two composers work on a show for dueling schools is a brilliant idea.
It's great.
And that's why I think the cast recording feels so like mastered and amazing. And again, like, I don't know what went wrong on stage, but to think about doing something like this now with two composers, imagine these two going against each other again all these years later. I would love to hear a Lin versus Tom Kitt, like, all of these years later.
And I think they blend so well. Like, I think you can tell who is who.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're like, ooh, this moment could be both.
This could be both.
Okay, so my favorite song is It's All Happening.
It's all happening.
And I think this is key. Lin-Manuel Miranda, with kind of like the layering of the different melodies and storylines, bringing it all together, and I think what he does so brilliantly in something like Nonstop, I think you can see the precursor to that here in It's All Happening.
Yes, I agree. I also hear, like, throughout the cast recording, there's a lot of Hamilton to me. I hear, like, Battle of Yorktown. I hear, like, a lot of stuff. But I also think in It's All Happening, there's In the Heights. What's the song? It's like 1, 2, 3, 96,000. 96,000.
Yeah.
Like, it is 96,000, basically.
Yes, like he has such a distinct style, and I mean a lot of musical theater composers do. Like the way we were saying, A Christmas Story sounds a lot like Sondheim in places. I actually think Pasek and Paul do like reference Sondheim in other things as well, but like it's quite obvious in A Christmas Story. Like Lynn's style is so distinct, and it's so much fun to hear. I also love Do Your Own Thing. That's great.
Very Hamilton. There's a lot. Yes.
Something like Friday Night Jackson is like super, super Lynn. You can hear him there. This is very random, but like the final cheer performance to Cross the Line, I love it.
I hate that song.
No.
I think it's so cheesy, that song.
No, you hate I Got You.
Oh, no, I hate I Got You. The finale is straight up bad.
And that's a correct opinion. It's really cheesy. It's really cheesy.
Really bad. I Got You. It's just like, it's like Camp Rock to me.
I Got You is really bad. Whereas Cross the Line is really just kind of like a dance remix for them to cheer to, and I'm into it. And then this is, I believe, a Tom Kitt song, but it's like Enjoy the Trip, which is Campbell kind of needing some help or not knowing how to get to, or like being frustrated with the experience of leading this new cheer team. Yeah. And I think like this, to me, is like Tom Kitt's most successful song on the cast recording.
See, I love One Perfect Moment. That is the one for me. I mean, like, Taylor Latterman sounds so good on this cast recording as a whole. Whenever she gets these, like, Campbell standout moments. We did watch the Tony performance right before we recorded this. I don't love the Tony performance, which I think is, again, like a saying of the translation doesn't quite work on stage. They sound phenomenal, but it's just, like, not there for me.
Yeah, I think so. It was actually nominated for 2 Tony Awards only, Best Musical and Best Choreography for Andy Blankenbuehler, Lynn's like frequent collaborator.
Wow, no score?
No.
Wow.
No, it's just those two.
Interesting.
It got outstanding lyrics at the drama desks, but not score.
Well, just looking at the Best Original Score, Amanda Green was nominated for Hands on a Hard Body. Right. I have no idea what that show is. No idea.
I feel like Keala Settle was in it.
She was in it. I remember watching her wave to the camera for her nomination, but I have no idea what that show is.
Okay, so I believe Hands on a Hard Body, like, don't quote me, but I believe it's about, like, a competition to win a car, and how you win it is by you put your hand on the car, and the last person to have their hand still touching the car after like days and days and days wins it.
There better have been a car on stage, or what would be the point of this show?
I believe there was a vehicle.
That sounds bad.
I mean, it has made no impact, seeing as we don't really talk about it, but that is, I believe, what it's about.
Okay. I believe you.
Yeah, anyway. I think the cast recording is super, super mastered really well. And I think that's, like, again, another thing I'm going to credit to Lin-Manuel Miranda. And I think, the translation to what was actually happening on stage at the same time didn't necessarily work. It looked very busy. Like,
the whole show felt so busy. That was the problem. So busy.
Very unfocused.
And then, like, I love adding in cheer aspects, but sometimes when you're like throwing someone up in the air, I'm not paying attention to anything else except for that girl that's in the air. So it's like kind of distracting.
Let's bring it on.
I understand, but like in moments when they weren't at a cheer competition, it was happening. And it was like, why is this happening?
We're just like always just like helicoptering someone in the air.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Amazing.
Okay, moving on to our next show. I think we're on the same track here of Matilda the Musical. Now, I saw this show on Broadway, and I obviously also saw it with you. Shara was there too, but who else was there? There was 4 people there. Oh, Alessandra's there. Because there's a picture of us in the Matilda pose somewhere.
Maybe we'll find it. Maybe we'll.
Maybe, yeah. But the Toronto production starred faves of the podcast, Hannah Levinson and Dan Shamroy.
Paula Brancati also.
Oh, yeah,
Honey.
from Degrassi.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone in the family, like the parents, were of name.
No, I'm looking Darcy Stewart and Brandon McGibbon. Well, also there were 3 Matildas, but we just happened to see Hannah Levinson.
And I'm so happy we did because...
Yeah, because then we saw her in Fun Home and she's wonderful.
And she was a star in Matilda too. And
absolutely.
I think what this show is best known for is that set and the almost like Scrabble letters around the set, and also some like cool stage tricks. There's some really fun stage tricks in Matilda with the chalkboard. Didn't you do Matilda?
Yes, I did. So Tara and I worked at a summer camp, and then I worked there a summer after when Tara had already
graduated.
And we put on Matilda with the kids, and this was actually a really, really great show to put on with the kids.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even if the kids sound bad, they sound good singing these songs. Because them screaming still sounds good, you know?
And it's interesting because I feel like after watching this movie a million times as a kid, I would have never thought to put this on stage. And now we're getting the Netflix adaptation of the musical too. So it's all good.
I think kind of an interesting thing about this is that there is such a well-known movie, and we've said it's adapted from the movie, but the movie and the musical are actually both adapted from the original Roald Dahl book. So when you see the musical, there's a lot of things in the movie that people are expecting to see that you're not going to get. Which I think like maybe threw some people off. Like I know I talked to someone when it was playing here in Toronto, and I was like, oh my God, I loved it. What did you think? And they were kind of missing a lot of the like iconic things from the movie, like the wagon with all the books in it. They were like, where's her wagon? And I was like, okay. But,
and also like the family is such a caricature of the family from the movie, and you're expecting like a Danny DeVito performance, and you're just not getting it.
Well, it's funny because in the movie, right, Danny DeVito's tiny, and then Gabriel
He's
Ebert
huge.
played it on Broadway, and he's a giant. He's like tall and long.
Green hair and like a green suit. I actually think interesting. Again, can't believe I'm referencing this show for like the third time.
The Heart of Robin Hood.
No, not the Heart of Robin Hood, but like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of tried to do similar things. Again, another Roald Dahl, but the style of the costumes was very similar in these two
kind
shows.
Of exaggerated.
Yes, one obviously much better than the other.
Yeah, I think Matilda worked really well. I think Tim Minchin is so successful in these songs that feel like very like not quirky, but like just like weird, like pulled in a weird direction.
There's like dark elements to all of them, kind of like fantastical. I mean, Matilda has such an amazing imagination at like the characters, so you're kind of like in her brain a lot of this show, which is so great. And I think specifically about those scenes like at the library with the projections and the teacher and her like telling the stories, the underscoring of that is all kind of like fantastical. I don't know, it's like really, really cool stuff.
All the stuff with the escapologist,
yes,
I love on stage. And it's like
there's some shadow play done there too, which is really good. Yeah,
it's really cool. And when like she's telling the story and doing these movements, and then the like characters playing the escapologist like doing the same movements and mirroring her, I think it like works so well. Do we have some favorite songs from Matilda?
I mean, Revolting Children is one of the greatest children's musical numbers maybe ever created. Honestly, I really think when you hear... Actually, something interesting, which we were talking about last episode with Anne Juliet, was the no British accents. But on Broadway, they did have the British accents for this show, which I don't know that they needed them. And I swear they had them in Toronto, too. I feel like it was just like Matilda is an accent show.
Yeah, it's like an adaptation of this like iconic British children's book, and they kept an accent. I think these songs would sound weird sung without a British accent.
Yes, and I specifically thinking of Revolting Children, and when the kids,
the rhymes rely on the British accent.
And in this song specifically, some of the kids are not singing; they're kind of just like screaming lines, and they're screaming them with the accents. I just think this song, top to bottom, so well done. Any kid that plays Bruce kills it. They are so good, and like what an amazing moment for your cast of children to shine. Because
we put this on, so this camp, it had 7 to 12-year-olds, basically, so kind of perfect age to put on Matilda.
Yeah.
And as the dance teacher, choreographer extraordinaire of the show, you know, you're always trying to think of like fun ways for because they had to do two and on top of songs and all these things. So Revolting Children was a number one favorite of the group of kids who got to dance to this song. And I remember them being so excited because we were like punching things and like they were like standing on chairs. And
yeah, it's so
at
fun.
The end, it was fantastic. And at the end we had these like paper on the ground for them to pick up and scramble into balls and throw at the audience, and they were so excited to do it because we never practiced with the paper because I didn't want them throwing paper at me. But so like going back to the beginning, there was School Song, which I think is such a cleverly written song because it's like kind of a poem that spells out the alphabet, and so we had these like alphabet signs that the kids held up to show the audience so they could follow along the alphabet. So the paper was left there on the stage in preparation for Revolting Children to come back at the end for them to pick it up and throw it at the audience.
That's so
and they
fun.
were like thrilled by it.
Yeah.
Revolting Children was everyone's favorite song in the show.
I mean, and then again, watch that Tony performance because there's 3 songs in it and they do such a great job at selling that show. Like, you want to see Matilda after you watch this Tony performance. When I Grow Up is so lovely. That song is like such a beautiful song. My favorite moment in that show is when the swings come out and they all are swinging and the scooters. It's just like, it's so nice. And then my other favorite song, I feel like Naughty is like one that everyone listens to, but
I love Naughty.
Quiet, Matilda's song Quiet is such a great solo song for this young girl to sing, and there's kind of like the dark underscore to it with like the bright vocals. I don't know, I think it's like Tim Minchin did such a great job on this cast recording, and it really this is one that really translates on stage as well.
It feels like his style of writing feels so Roald Dahl. Like, it's a perfect fit. Yeah. It's a perfect match. I also love When I Grow Up. It doesn't really move the plot forward in any way.
It's fine.
But like, it's so important, I think, in the show because it, like, is I think everything comes out from that song. Like, I feel like it was probably written very early in the process of the show, and kind of the style and the movement all, like, developed from When I Grow Up. So I think it's probably the best song in the show. My other favorite song is My House, sung by Miss Honey and the Escapologist. It's like so beautiful, and they have these kind of like 2 melodies being overlapped by the end that I think just sounds absolutely beautiful. And then Naughty, like, it goes without saying how good Naughty is.
Oh, it's so good. And I also think back to when I saw this on Broadway, I saw it with my brothers. We saw Millie Shapiro as
amazing
Matilda, who has gone on to do like horror movies. I think she was like the star of Hereditary, that like horror
Isn't
movie.
she in A Quiet Place? Isn't that her?
I don't know.
No, that's not
is
her.
It
Never
her?
mind.
No, I don't think it's her.
It's not. She's not in A Quiet Place.
Wasn't there someone? Who was the other girl? Una, right? She was in like that Jake Gyllenhaal movie. I don't know. The Matildas have grown up to
They're stars.
to be stars.
I remember Gabriel Ebert's like acceptance speech when he won for Best Featured Actor, and he named all 4 Matildas. He's like, my Matildas, and he was like, Sophia, Una, Bailey, Billy. Like, I was like, oh.
Well, so Matilda had 12 Tony nominations that year, and the Matildas, the 4 of them got a special Tony Award, which is correct. Like, there was no way to choose one person to represent for that show.
They got a special Tony Award as opposed to the Billy Elliots, who were nominated in the actual category as a group. And I feel like, I agree that is the right move, especially for a children's performance.
And I swear when I saw it, I mean, even Hannah Levinson, like, I want to say she was like 8 or 9, like a child, very, very young.
These were kids, and I remember her being so intense.
Yeah, she was so good.
Her performance she just was so focused.
Yeah.
This was 2016. That's 6 years ago. How old is Hannah Levinson?
I want to say she's like 13 now.
It says 2007 she was born. So 2016, she would have been like 9 years old.
Yeah, she was small then.
Yeah, she was really little.
Because then we saw her a few years later in Fun Home, and she had a little bit of a growth spurt.
Yeah. 2007, what is that, 15 now? Crazy.
Oh my God, she's 50. I feel so old to say that. But I remember my parents also had seen Matilda, and I remember my dad specifically saying, like, that little girl that plays Matilda, like, she's a star. And she is. Like, I think that's such a great... If you get the chance to play Matilda, like, what a amazing opportunity. This show started on the West End, right? It was a transfer from the West End?
Yeah, it is a West End transfer. It's funny...
it's still there, I think.
I don't think so.
Or it was, like, kind of recently. Because I remember seeing them perform somewhere. Let me see. Matilda, West End.
Oh, it's 2011 to present. Dang.
Yeah, it's still going.
Dang. Good for them. Good for Matilda.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that is crazy, actually. It's like a long-running show in the West End. Yeah, because it is so British, and it's based on this, like, really iconic British property. Okay, so then let's transition to another show that is also very British, but originated in Broadway as opposed to the West End, and then eventually transferred.
Yes, Kinky Boots, our fourth and final show nominated for Best Musical, and also our winner of Best New Musical that year.
Do you agree? I mean, before we get into Kinky Boots, do you agree Kinky Boots over Matilda?
I mean, A Christmas Story, not even a question. Bring It On, not even a question. No, so it was between those two. As someone that has seen Kinky Boots 4 times on stage, as someone that listens to that cast recording religiously, I agree that it is the best new musical. What do you think?
Interesting. I have a hard time deciding. I don't know. I think I love Kinky Boots, but I think Matilda has like such a strong identity. And I think that just comes down to like the music and what Tim Minchin wrote and the staging of it, that I might give the edge to Matilda, but like I'm not mad about Kinky Boots winning.
No, I think the story is so great. Kinky Boots, again, like sitting in that theater, I will never forget. We were sitting like decently close, and when they start, when they say "ladies, gentlemen," and those who have yet to decide, Lola said it straight to Steph, and it was like the most iconic moment. There is so much going for that show. It's so interesting to think about like this season on Broadway versus like that at 2013, because you know, this is a book by Harvey Fierstein, and as we know, his adapted book of Funny Girl this season,
unsuccessful.
Not successful at all. So I think he did well. Again, I think the source material is really good, and there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah, this is actually a movie I've never seen.
Me either. But it stars. Is it Idris Elba? No, it's not Idris Elba. It's what's his name? Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yes. And who's Charlie? He's also Joel Edgerton.
Oh, that sounds right. I think it is.
Yes.
Joel Edgerton.
It does play like on planes, so I've seen it there. Yeah, because I've seen it and I've never chosen it, but
maybe next time I'm on a plane I'll watch it.
Watch Kinky Boots. Just
you know, for background.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I've seen this show on stage 4 times. I also were you at the did I see this with you in the movie theater? I think I went with my mom.
I don't think I saw it in the movie theater. I think I was on vacation.
They filmed the London production of Kinky Boots, and they played it in movie theaters. It is available on Broadway HD. I highly, highly recommend it. And then I just think, like, this Cyndi Lauper score is so good. We always, on road trips, decide on full cast recordings we're going to listen to, and Kinky Boots is, like, always on the roster. It's never not there. So that just, like, credit to Cyndi Lauper.
No skips. That's not true. But beginning to end, no skips.
I want to say, because I was watching the Tonys, and I watched this specific award of Best Original Score that went to Cyndi Lauper, and it was presented iconically by Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Jane Krakowski. And iconic. As they were going through it, they're like saying all the people, you could see Cyndi Lauper was like really nervous, because obviously she's like a newcomer to this community.
She wanted it back.
She wanted it. And Jesse Tyler Ferguson, without saying that Cyndi Lauper won, just said, "Girl, you're gonna have fun tonight." I was like, wow, this is legendary.
It is legendary. Yeah, I mean, where's Cyndi Lauper's next musical is my question.
This one was so good.
I think it was really good, like, match of composer to storyline, and I think like we said, you hear Lynn in Bring It On. I think you hear her in this, like, you know, she writes fantastic pop music, and this is great pop music that made a musical.
Do you remember for the year that Kinky Boots was in Toronto, that the radio ads? We love a radio ad in Toronto.
The Toronto radio ads are actually crazy.
It was like, Toronto loves Kinky Boots. And then it was like, just be, vivid.
Who you wanna be. You're absolutely right. Wow. Like, I feel like maybe we should do a full episode on the Toronto radio ads for...
Well, Kinky Boots was like where they were really pushing it. And then Dear Evan Hansen, they were really pushing.
They would play like full on Waving Through a Window, like the whole song on the radio.
I know. And then obviously we talked about it last episode, but like the Anne Juliet ads are out of control right now too.
Were you in the conversation, or was I talking to my friend? He was saying, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child licensing the John Williams music from the movie for the ads.
Oh no. Yeah.
And then it not being in the play. They're just like,
oh, they did? I haven't even realized that.
On the radio, and then you just like show up and it's like, hide and seek. It's just completely different. Yeah.
No, we used to...
False advertising.
After I had seen Kinky Boots with my mom, and then I went with my dad, and then I went with you, and then I went with my mom and Corey, and to this day, Corey's like, Toronto loves Kinky Boots. Like, it's just ingrained because we literally heard it every day for like a year straight.
Mervish loves a radio ad.
We love a radio ad.
Who are they targeting is my number one question. Who are they targeting?
Well, clearly I was listening to it. So, and you know what? I went back and bought more tickets. So
you kept going, Toronto did love Kinky Boots.
I think I am the target audience.
Wow.
But also why this is relatable is obviously, again, our last episode with Anne Juliet, we talked about Stark Sands and we had never seen him on stage, but I'm very, very, very familiar with his Soul of a Man. And I just think what a match for Stark in this role. He is, we don't know what he's like as a person, but I feel like Charlie is kind of like a great role for him because you get to like be this guy, but also have these like really amazing belter of songs. And then to contrast that, Tony Award winning performance from Billy Porter as Lola. Who else could you cast in this?
He's perfect. He's
for Broadway.
So perfect.
Yeah,
because his voice is just the greatest. It's so like resonant. And yeah, he's a star in this, and it's also fun because a number of people because it ran for a pretty long time on Broadway, the number of people who took on the role of both Charlie and of Lola,
Brendan Urie.
It was able to be stunt cast a bit, and David Cook.
David Cook.
David.
Wayne Brady. At the time of episode recording, the Hollywood Bowl is putting on a production of Kinky Boots like currently, but it will be done by the time this episode is released.
Do you remember Tiki Barber as Dawn?
Of course I do. How could I forget that?
How could we ever forget that stunt cast, Tiki Barber as Dawn? That was wild. I know, that was funny. That was when they were jumping the shark. They were trying anything.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because, again, for years, because Kinky Boots was on Broadway for so long, it was at the Al Hirschfeld, and I remember from, like, wherever hotel I was staying, whenever I would go to New York, you would see, like...
It's from the row.
The neon sign. Yeah, you could see it from everywhere. And then, like, only in the last few years, obviously, Moulin Rouge is now...
Was there anything in between?
I don't know. I want to say no, because... How long was Kinky Boots running? Like 6 years or so?
Let's find out. Yeah, I think like 6 or 7 years, something like that. So the Al Hirschfeld, Kinky Boots opened on Broadway in 2013, and Moulin Rouge opened in 2019. Nothing in between.
Wow. So, and what a great run! I feel like that show could come back at any time and have another successful run.
No, it is doing something. Broadway. It's going off Broadway.
Yes.
That's the place for it. That's the place.
That like because like the drag show elements would also work so well in an off-Broadway house.
It's gonna get really rowdy, and I
want to be there for that. Like that's so fun. I also think it was so nice in the Tony speech, although he was cut off slightly, but like Billy Porter thanking his glam squad because like that makeup that he has to get in and out of during the duration of the show is wild. What the makeup artist and hair department is doing, and then not only for him but like the queens that are in the show as well. So much drag makeup is happening. The costumes are amazing, like everything, also choreographed, directed by Jerry Mitchell. Like it's all amazing.
I was gonna say, who did the costumes for this?
I don't think they won.
I don't think so, but I think
Oh, you know who won? We shall not speak his name, but William Ivy Long for Cinderella.
For Cinderella, you're right.
But those are a beautiful gown.
Greg Barnes did the costume design for Kinky Boots, and he won a Tony for Drowsy Chaperone and Follies.
Oh, okay.
His last major Broadway credit is Mean Girls, actually.
Also in this cast, we have Annalie Ashford playing Lauren.
Oh, that's my favorite song.
I know.
That's the song. She's so funny. The accent she's doing is so funny. I think she plays Insane Girl so well.
Lover.
She's
so good.
She's just, with the shoes, she plays crazy. Amazing. She's so good.
This is another, like, match made in heaven for that, like, person to character. Like, it's so perfect. Even in that Tony performance, which, like, again, I think we'll get to, like, our favorite songs in a minute, but in that Tony performance, she's, like, not doing much. She was nominated for her role, but
probably for that song.
Even the little bit that she's doing in this performance, you're like, okay, Annalie, like, I'm watching you because you're having a great time.
Yeah, she just, like, I think she's a star in general.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry her sitcom Plan B was canceled, so I never watched it.
This year. Canceled this year.
Okay, let's have a side tangent. The show Plan B, the first season was about her donating, like, her liver to a stranger she met. And then after season 1, where that plotline was resolved, it became about running an old folks home. Did you know this?
You told me this.
Did I tell you?
But I also think it's interesting that, like, the liver resolved happened in what, like 10 episodes? That seems kind of short.
I think it was a network sitcom.
So like
22 episodes.
Okay, so maybe kind of long.
Which, girl, I actually think it's for the best you got canceled. But who's doing 22 episodes a season anymore?
No, that's rough.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but what a change of plot. Not even on the same track.
There's a multicam too, girl.
Wow. Okay, favorite songs from Kinky Boots. Obviously, History of Wrong Guys.
History of Wrong Guys. And then I'm gonna say, this is so difficult because they're so good. Okay, this is like my controversial fave. Take What You Got. Harry, Charlie.
Okay, am I making this up? Did I have a dream about this? But when we were at Ellen's Stardust Diner, were there not two waiters singing this at like midnight?
I think they sang like My Father's Son, but like a remix of it.
Maybe. I also love Not My Father's Son.
I don't think it was Take What You Got, but it was a Kinky Boots song, and it was an arrangement like that one of them had done. Yeah, it was like past midnight. They were like, we were
shocked.
Leave.
But when they started singing Kinky Boots, we were like, okay, we're staying.
Yeah, and not everybody say but like a deep Kinky Boots cut.
It was a deep cut. Yeah,
it was a deep cut.
But I agree. Take What You Got.
I think it's
nice. Corey loves Take What You Got. We always like talk about the friend Harry, just like you gotta take what. It's so good. I will say I love, obviously Soul of a Man is like up there with like
he sounds
top
great.
10.
As opposed to the skip, Hold Me in Your Heart.
Sorry to Lola. But yeah, we decided this on our, like, we didn't put Kinky Boots on our Skippable Songs episode, but we did talk about it off the mic after that Hold Me in Your Heart is the one to skip.
The skip.
But I love Step 1, which is like the precursor to Soul of a Man.
When
Again,
he makes
it's
the
like
ugly boots.
Yes, he makes the ugly boots, but it's the through line of the, like, My Destiny, the way that he sings that in, like, 3 songs. The first time it's like, falls off of it. Second one, he's got, like, a little more power. And then the third one for Soul of a Man is just, like, everything that I want. And then, obviously, did we have this on our Act 1 finales episode?
I'm not sure if we talked about Everybody Say Yeah.
But that's kind of crazy that we didn't.
Yeah,
maybe we did.
You know, it's fun on the cast recording, but then the staging of it is
my
really, really fun with the treadmills.
A moving treadmill, like, what more could you want?
They're working hard.
Hustling.
They're walking. They're doing, they're doing a lot. They're moving them around. They're turning them on. They're turning them off. They're moving the barriers.
No, it's true. And then the finale is like, what a blast. Just be slash, what's the slash?
Raise You Up.
Raise You Up. Also,
like the fashion show, like the little fashion show.
Like, everything about this show, like top to bottom, it's such an amazing show.
It's just a good time. It's just a really good time. It's
also, Alina Hall is in the original cast. It's in Just Be when she does her, like, accept yourself. Yeah. You're like, oh, hello, Lena Hall. Thank you for
she's playing
showing up.
Nicola, who like doesn't really get to belt. And she gets this one line, and she's like, I'm going to do everything I can in this one line. And she gave us
everything in that one. I even love the opening number. I think the opening number is really good. It's
the
just
most
like...
beautiful thing in the world.
It's just lovely. It's such a good show. I texted you yesterday after watching the Tony performance. I was like, wow, could go see Kinky Boots again right now. And like, would happily pay for it.
Absolutely. And now since they're going to be playing off Broadway.
Yeah, when is that happening? Do we need to like think about this?
Yeah, like...
I think it's soon. I think it's too soon for me to get there, but...
Okay. Performances begin July 26th.
Okay, so...
Stage 42, but Is it
oh my god, that's like the day after you leave.
It literally is, like a few days after I leave. But it's selling till like February.
Okay, so if we go in the fall/winter...
maybe we'll go.
Maybe we should go see Kinky Boots off Broadway. This like pipe dream of a New York trip that is not even anywhere in actual talks, but there's so much coming in the fall that we were like, well, maybe in the winter we'll see what happens.
Now that we're not that excited about The Notebook in Chicago.
I know. I'm so sorry to that cast, but like I'm not interested anymore.
Now we're like focus on New York. So that's that. Yeah. So let's talk about like, let's say these 4 musicals, right? Like, what do we think that they have in common? Besides all being based on movies and children, because even Kinky Boots has children. Only Bring It On doesn't have children, but they're playing.
But they're
children.
High school, so it's the same thing.
So there's like very youth focused.
I think they all, minus A Christmas Story, because like I really can't speak to that. I literally know nothing about it. But I think they all have like a very nice message at the end of it, which is like acceptance.
That's very true. That's very true. Like, be true to yourself. Do what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And you'll succeed.
Yeah. Like, literally all of them. I think it's, like, interesting.
And, like, I don't know. You've been talking about, like, found family, you know?
Mm-hmm.
In Bring It On, they find a family in these, like, cheer squads. And
like
Kinky
Miss
Boots.
Honey and Matilda.
Yeah. Exactly. In Kinky Boots, the factory workers, it's a found family.
And like Lola and Charlie, everything.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're talking about their father's expectations of them, but they find family in each other. So that's so true. Wow.
Wow. That just came to me. I didn't even think about this before.
We're just rolling. We're rolling. Okay, but like I'd say, let's think about also these 4 musicals. What kind of influence have they had in the, let's say, like 9 years since they premiered?
That's a more loaded question. I wasn't ready for that.
That is a more loaded question, but I don't know. We're talking. We're thinking.
I think, again, on the lines of acceptance, like, look at what Bring It On did by having a trans character in that cast. Although years too late. But in 2013, I feel like we're getting pronouns and playbills now. This is something that like hasn't existed. So I feel like that was maybe like a stepping stone there. And then just like, I don't know. I feel like Kinky Boots is the most like be whoever you want to be show. And I hope that those messages have stayed through towards like theater today. I don't know so much about like Matilda or A Christmas Story.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think like even like Tim Minchin, has he written something since for musicals? I'm not sure, but like
Lynn obviously.
This I feel like Bring It On was almost a survival job between In the Heights and Hamilton, like a paid gig he took so that he could get paid while writing Hamilton. Like, I don't know if Lynn would have been like, you know what really needs to be made into a musical? That's my passion project. Bring It On. I don't really think he was doing that. But, you know, that was a paid gig and that he was happy to take so that he could write Hamilton.
Maybe this will inspire the Cyndi Lauper jukebox musical.
Yeah, you know, Cyndi Lauper, I mean, celebrities have written musicals before, obviously, but I do think Cyndi Lauper being so successful at this has maybe inspired or given more respect to singers coming in and writing musicals, and sometimes they're successful, aka like Sarah Bareilles, and sometimes you have someone like Bryan Adams who should not do this again.
What a dig at Bryan Adams.
Am I wrong? Okay, I was playing musical theater Hurdle the other day.
Oh, it was the Pretty Woman opening
Welcome to
number.
Hollywood. It was Welcome to Hollywood. I was like,
I was gonna text you. I forgot. I had it written out and then I forgot to text you.
I was like, what is this? And it was Welcome to Hollywood from Pretty Woman. I actually fail at musical theater Hurdle much more than I fail at regular Hurdle.
Me too, but also, like, whoever is putting that together, I need to talk to them because one of them recently was Beautiful from Heathers, and the song doesn't start until 5 seconds in, and they left it.
I also have a beef with that because I should have gotten it
in 1 second. Because
but
as soon as it hit the moment when I heard what it was, I was like, oh, I know what this is. Yeah. I had to like check to see if my volume was, it was like, I was not happy about that.
I had a hard time getting 3090 for some reason.
Really?
I couldn't place it.
It was the movie version, and as you know, I listened to that like every single day, so I knew immediately.
I got it, but I had a hard time placing it.
To get back on track for a second, some other shows that were featured in the 2013 67th annual Tony season: Cinderella, which I have seen many times on stage. Santino Fontana nominated, Laura Osnes nominated, but like really what we're here for is Santino Fontana singing.
Every time.
Yeah, all the time. Also, Ron McClure nominated for Chaplin, another parallel to this year's Tony Awards, him being the sole nomination for the show.
You know, that must feel really good as Rob McClure to be like, these shows suck, but they love me. They love me.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's
everyone else sucks, but I'm great.
And then
I'm happy for him.
Another show that we have not even talked about, winner, Best Revival, Pippin.
This is a love for us.
We talked about it in our Stephen Schwartz episode. Patina Miller won another parallel. She's back on Broadway and Into the Woods right now. But that Revival cast recording is so good. And I feel like, again, to talk about what we've been talking about, like perfect person to character. Oh my God, Patina's the leading player. Could you cast a better person?
You know, talking about influences from this season forward, it had happened a bit before, but switching the gender of that character.
Right. Yeah.
That was a major gender switch, and now we're much more open to doing this, and we do it much more often, especially for a character like the leading player whose gender does not define or has anything to do with what their character is doing.
No.
And now we see it much more often, and it has such like high impact on the plots.
Also iconically Canadian icon Andrea Martin won a Tony that year.
She did, and she hung upside down and she sang a song.
Yeah. So, you know, Pippin was doing a lot of things. And then something that was like jarring to me at this Tony Awards was all of the previous shows, I guess,
this was
introducing each other. And when the Spider-Men came out and they really made Reeve Carney put on that costume to say 2 lines before he introduced Annie, I was like, okay.
They made all of them put on that costume. I would like to talk about 2 flops from this season.
Yeah.
I would really like to shout them out. One in a revival that I saw, Jekyll and Hyde, starring Constantine Maroulis and Deborah Cox.
Wow.
Let's look for that playbill. I saw it here in Toronto. It was on tour. It did like a pre-Broadway tour before landing on Broadway.
There's a couple songs I like from Jekyll and Hyde.
That was something. Yeah, no, the songs were good. When we left, all I could think was Constantine Maroulis' voice is crazy.
Well, we've just talked about 2 American Idol people in this episode. David Cook starring as Charlie Bryce and Constantine Maroulis.
And the other original musical I would like to highlight, I have heard nothing from it, but it is important to talk about. It is Scandalous, The Life and Trials of Amy Semple McPherson, written by Kathy Lee Gifford. I'm just obsessed with its existence, to be honest. I don't know anything about it.
Actually, Carolee Carmela was in it, no?
Yeah, she was nominated for a Tony.
Yes. Okay. That was the only other thing I knew from that. And I don't even know why I knew that piece of information, but I did. The other thing, another show that was nominated for Best Revival, I literally know nothing about it, but what is it? The Mystery of Edwin Drude? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, The Mystery of Edwin Drude. I believe it's like a Charles Dickens novel. It's unfinished, so there's no ending, so the ending of the musical changes every night because Charles Dickens never wrote an ending.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. So the audience votes, from what I understand. I never saw it, but the audience would vote every night, and they would collect all the ballots, and they would count them, and then different characters would sing different songs, and different people would fall in love with people, and different murderers would be different murderers. This actually also had a great cast, like Andy Curl, Jesse Mueller, Betsy Wolfe,
Stephanie J. Block,
of course.
Will Chase, which is why I'm bringing up Will Chase, because Will Chase was sitting next to Deborah Messing at the Tonys. They were together at the time.
With Deborah Messing
and behind them
Cheetah
was
Rivera,
Jake Gyllenhaal. And then Neil Patrick Harris, Laura Benanti, Andrew Rannells, and Megan Hilty do this like really fun TV number about how like when you're not on stage, you go to TV, but TV's like a bad career. And they dig at Will Chase and how he wasn't on the second season of Smash. And I loved it.
That is actually a really memorable Tony performance to me. One of my favorites. It makes me laugh every time they do like
Neil just making like
songs.
The side comments behind, like when another person keeps coming out and Megan Hilty comes out, he's like, "Your show's also canceled." Like it's just funny.
Laura Benanti's like not once but twice. Her show was canceled 2 times.
Singing like "Ladies Who Lunch." It's great.
Yeah. No, it's really fun. And then that Tony Awards closed with, that Lin-Manuel Miranda written rap.
Yeah.
To like kind of Empire State of Mind, Audra McDonald singing the chorus. Just so much fun. We need to get Neil Patrick back at the Tonys.
I agree.
And Lin writing the songs again.
Yeah. It's just like a different energy. There was a lot of star power at that Tony Awards. Like Tom Hanks was nominated for a Tony that year. So there was a lot of celebs there. And sometimes it helps when the celebrities are there. Like Anna Kendrick and Cuba Gooding Jr. presenting. Like it's like, I don't know. Having star power helps sometimes. So I agree. Let's get back to the model of the 2013 Tonys. But other than that, I think it was a really great year. And it's so interesting to see that so many of these shows still have a life. Like, again, Kinky Boots is playing off Broadway coming up. Matilda's still running on the West End. Bring It On had a life in the West End last year. A Christmas Story could come back any Christmas. So like all of these shows.
I feel like those last two, like Christmas Story and Bring It On, very licensable. We talked about Christmas Story, but Bring It On for high schools.
Oh my God,
imagine
so fun.
Licensing that.
Yeah. So
it has a lot of female characters, which is also really good for licensable shows.
We love that. So if you haven't listened to any of these shows, all of the cast recordings are available to stream. Highly recommend. Again, Kinky Boots is streaming on Broadway HD, so if you want to watch that, watch that. Also, A Christmas Story Live is streaming somewhere. I think it might be in the States.
You know what we didn't talk about? The commercial for The Greatest Showman during A Christmas Story Live.
You're right. We did not talk about that.
Which we don't need to talk about, but it was important.
And we also did not talk about that Royal Caribbean sponsored the Tony Awards that year.
Yes, and Barrett Foa was doing like these like throw to commercial interviews. Yeah. It was a throwback.
Yeah. But I think that wraps up our way back then, 2013. We do want to continue to do this. 2011 is on the roster. We just need to listen to it for real. Yeah, we were pretty lazy for this one. But if there's a year that you want to hear us talk about, let us know. And with that being said, it is now time for our Obsession of the Week.
My obsession this week is pretty tangential, and we're going to go with it anyway.
Okay.
There's a movie that came out recently that I have not seen yet, but I think they did a really fun thing with the soundtrack by having a lot of people cover this famous artist's songs. And...
Is this Elvis?
This is the movie Elvis.
Should we just say my thoughts on the movie Elvis?
Yeah, okay, let me do my obsession, then we can talk about your thoughts on the movie Elvis, which I have not seen yet. Okay. So because this soundtrack has a lot of covers by famous artists doing these covers of all the songs, and I love Kacey Musgrave, and her cover is Can't Help Falling in Love on the soundtrack, and I think it's just a really, really beautiful cover. I love her voice, and I think it just sounds great, and I think it was so, like, the Baz Luhrmann of it all, how creative it was to, I love the Doja Cat.
I was going to say, I know you love the Doja Cat.
I love that. I think it's so good. To talk about that, I also really, really love that they used the original artist from Hound Dog as the sample and not Elvis as the sample. Referencing that he, was so influenced by, like, Black artists and Black musicians. So I think that's really great. But my obsession this week is Kacey Musgrave, Can't Help Falling in Love from the original motion picture soundtrack, Elvis. It's just a great song. And if we want to make it more Broadway related, please recall Cheyenne Jackson starring in All Shook Up on Broadway and singing this song as well.
Somehow that show keeps getting
It always comes back to Cheyenne Jackson playing quote unquote Elvis on Broadway.
Yeah. I mean, to also make it like somewhat Broadway, I don't know if it 100% counts, but like Austin Butler, who plays Elvis, was in Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure, and that's kind of a musical too.
You know how he got the role of Elvis? Because he starred in The Iceman Cometh on Broadway
and
with
Denzel Washington.
And Denzel referred him to Baz, being like, he's pretty good.
I could tell you anything about this movie. I did a lot of research on it.
If you had to, if you had to rate it out of 5, what would you rate the movie Elvis?
2.
Really? I did see a TikTok today being like, Austin Butler wasted 3 years of his life for this.
Again, this is very unrelated. I think Austin Butler is the best part of that movie. He truly is. He's giving a really, really great performance, as he should be, because he literally now has adopted the Elvis voice and has lost his own voice. So he like became Elvis. As a lover of Baz Luhrmann, everyone on this podcast that listens to us know we love Baz Luhrmann. I wanted more Baz, and I feel like that's a weird thing to say because Baz projects are always like in your face. And then to really make this full circle, Tom Hanks nominated for a Tony in 2013. Tom Hanks ruined this movie. And, you know, America's favorite actor really just... I don't even know if it's his fault. The writing is just, like, not there. To use his manager as a framing device was not something I was interested in. Give me more performance.
Yeah, like, why is it called Elvis if your main character is actually... So, like, if this was at the Oscars, hypothetically, which...
Who's, like, lead actor?
Yeah, who's lead? Is it Tom?
No, it would still be Austin Butler, but it's like Austin Butler through like visions of Tom Hanks' character, if that makes sense.
Do you remember when Tom Hanks played Mr. Rogers and he was in like supporting actor at the Oscars because it was the framing device was from the man interviewing him?
Oh, I never saw that movie.
Character. I didn't see it either, but could it be
so
that kind of
deal? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the screen time. This movie is also pushing 3 hours, which is...
Right.
Yeah. But
nothing should be
the performances are there. Like, Austin's doing a great job. He also looks so cute. But, like, everything else is...
I mean, Elvis music is great.
Yeah, Elvis music is great. I wanted more Priscilla. I wanted more fashion is what I wanted.
Well... Yeah, why? Baz, give us the fashion.
I know.
Okay, Tara, what's your obsession this week?
My obsession this week, I feel like we've talked about miscast many times on the podcast, but did I know until the other day that the West End also does kind of a miscast, and theirs is called Roles Will Never Play. There's a YouTube account called Roles Will Never Play, and I believe it's like snippets from the concerts that they've done. I know that they were performed on West End Live this year, or certain people did. But my obsession this week, this is someone that I have previously used as an obsession of the week, and it's Alice Fern. And the last time I talked about her, she was singing Me and This Guy from Come From Away. And this time, the role she'll never play is from Catch Me If You Can. You know we love this song. Goodbye. She sounds so good, and I want her to come to New York. Like, I want her to have the opportunity to have an American audience listen to her voice.
Not to be true full circle, but Catch Me If You Can was in the 2011 year we were supposed to do. We'll do it eventually.
Well, that was one that we were like, we listened to it when we did our Shaman and Whitman episode, but I feel like we need to know more about it than just like Aaron Tveit and...
Absolutely.
Oh my god, I'm Norbert Leobad's star. Yeah, so there are many videos on Roles Will Never Play, but I love the song, and I feel like anyone that sings it, even a kid sang it at the Jimmy Awards this year, and he nailed it. And Alice Fern is like really giving an amazing vocal performance. So yeah, that's my obsession this week. That's our thoughts on the 2013 Tony year. And our next episode, we are seeing Chicago in Stratford. I have heard nothing but amazing things about this show from literally everybody.
I always trust Stratford. I always trust they're gonna do a great job.
And it's gonna be interesting to do a little bit of a deep dive on Chicago because I think, and again, I hope this proves me wrong, but I think that movie is better than the stage show. So I'm very interested to see a different take.
So I've never seen like a professional production of Chicago. My brother
Right.
actually starred as, what's the character's name?
Which one? Billy Flynn?
Yeah, my brother actually starred as Billy Flynn when he was in high school once.
Yeah.
So that's the only production of Chicago I've ever seen besides the movie. So I'm curious to see it on stage.
Yeah. The movie is like top tier,
No.
one of the best movie musicals ever created.
I mean, Best Picture winner. It's also, it uses like the framing device really, really well, I think. And I'm very curious to see like how much Fosse choreography we're going to see in Stratford, because I think that's one of the biggest strengths of Chicago.
And that also pulls it full circle to this episode, because Dan Shamroy is in Stratford's production playing Billy Flynn. So
And
I'm very
our favorite
excited.
person ever, Robert
Marquez. Come on the pod.
So-
We really want to talk to you. Like, we really want to talk to you.
Congratulations on your marriage.
Yes. But yes, so that's something to look forward to in our next episode. So if you want to listen to any of our other episodes while you're waiting, you can do that by subscribing to our podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. And you can also watch us here on YouTube. We would really appreciate it if you subscribed and left a rating and a review.
And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Off to Be By Podcast. That's with the number 2. And let us know any other years you think we should deep dive into the best musical nominees.
And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.